Alright, this is Excel Activity 12, and we are still working with this same spreadsheet uh, called the Office Specialist. So if you haven't already done so, you would need to open this up again. And the first thing you may need to do is down here, you may need to scroll all the way to the left, and you may need to scroll all the way to the top. And right here on my computer, you see E5. This is in the name box. E5 is the active cell. It may be a good habit for you to always come and type in A1 and then hit enter in that name box. And then no matter where you're at, A1 will become the active cell and would automatically scroll to where you should be to start. So let's go ahead and get started on this. And I think the next thing that I want to do is to view. I want to be able to review all of my comments. So I should be able to click the review button and then show comments. And then all of these little, all of the different colored square cells that you see with the red markers in the upper right corner has a corresponding comment. So let's just go ahead and get started with these. And let's come down here. I guess we'll just start with this one first. For this cell right here, we roll over it. By the way, these are statistics for a mythological football team. And these are statistics for rushing and receiving. So let's just go ahead and get started. So this first cell right here, we want to put in a formula that calculates the yards per rush. So that would be the number of yards divided by the number of rushes. So we're going to come over here, and all formulas and functions start with an equal sign. So we're going to put that in, and it's the number of yards, which for this person, Antoine Morris, is in cell D5. And then you want to put in a slash, and then by the number of rushes, you would click on cell C5, and then you hit enter. And then you would want to take this and round it to 2 decimals. So you could go under the Home tab, and under the number group, you would click the decrease decimal button until you have 2 decimals showing, which typically in football, this is the way that the statistics for yards per catch or receiving per catch is typically notated. So then what we want to do is grab this fill handle and drag it down through the rest of these green cells. Do not drag through that peach colored cell. And then you see that all of these formulas are automatically copied down to the next row below. So then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to, in this cell, get a we're going to get a total yards or rushes, the number of yards per rush or receipt. So to do that, we actually are going to have to come over here first and do these gray ones. So in these cells, we want to get the sum of all cells in the range above, okay? And I'll admit, generally it's not important in football stats to get a total of games played, because then it makes you have a total of many more games played than what is actually played. You're having multiple people play in a season, but in a game. So let's just go ahead though, and we'll go ahead and put them in all of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go under the auto sum button, and I want to click on the auto sum button because sum is the default function for that button, and it automatically detects that yes, this is the cell of which we want to find a total, or these are the cells, this is the range. So we just hit enter, and now I want to drag this fill handle for this cell over through these cells to get totals, and then I want to repeat the process up here. Now by the way, you could also go ahead and select these cells all at the same time and then hit auto sum, and then it'll automatically put the sum total in here. Okay. Alright, so it looks like you had 508 rushes for 1,877 yards. And so now we can come over here and get this amount. So the number of yards per rush is what you want to do, and this is for the whole team. What you do is you'd come over here, you put in equals, and you put in yards divided by rushes, and you'd hit enter. And again, you would round this to 2 decimals. Okay, so it's 3.69 yards a carry. Most football teams would wish that would be a little bit higher. Okay, so then you would do the same thing down here. So you would put in equals the number of yards receiving, which is in cell D27, divided by that cell, hit enter. And by the way, it's perfectly okay that I did this in this order, because here we're trying to get a total team amount as opposed to individual rushing amounts. So we could come back and do these here shortly. And I want to go ahead and decrease the decimal to 2 on this. And by the way, this is actually the same formula. If we drag this fill handle, this time we can actually drag it up. And actually when I do that, it changes the color of these, which I didn't really want to do that. And on the desktop version there's of Excel, there's a button that you can click that would make it so that the formulas change, but the fill or the formatting does not change. So what I want to do is I just want to hit the undo key, and then I want to do this over that way that these colors don't change automatically, because I don't think you can do that on the desktop version or on this online version. So it'll be that cell divided by that cell, and then you can round this to 2 decimals, and then you would drag this down. Alright, so again, remember this total down here is a team total, where these are individual totals. So that's why this is not a sum function here. You're not getting a sum of the individual players. You're getting an entire team average. So the next thing we want to do is we want to get a yards per game. Okay, now this is where it's a little bit different. In this case, we're assuming that only 15 games were played. You're wanting to find out how many yards per game did the team rush for. And the thing is, it kind of looks like under these circumstances we have to assume that this team has played 15 games. Okay, so you're wanting to find out how many yards per game did these players rush for. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to put in equals, and it's the yards that they rushed for, and you have to put in divided by 15. Okay, and by the way, and let me go ahead and explain this again. It says actually, let me hit escape for a minute. When you're doing football statistics, you could do it, you know, per game, the number of yards rushed per game per team. And of course there's players in here that looks like they only played in 2 games. But what if you wanted to know how much they were rushing for per game, whether or not they actually played in it? So I mean, that's one of the reasons why you would still do this over a 15 game season, which is what it looks like they played. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, football statistics are a little bit different. You got to think about what statistics do you want to actually see. And by the way, statistics are huge in sports nowadays. They even made a movie about it called Moneyball. Of course, that was about baseball, but statistics in sports are huge. So in this case, because we're assuming 15 games, we're just going to put in the number 15. It's rare that we actually put an actual number into a formula, but since this team played 15 games, it looked like. And we're going to round this to 2 decimals again. we're going to drag this down, and let's see, let's just verify. Okay, this still says 15, which is what we want. So in this case, it's looking like that this person right here is only rushing for 2.93 yards per game played, because they rush for 44 yards total, but over 15 games, they're contributing less than 3 yards, 3 yards a carry to the game, or 3 yards to the game. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we can come down here and do the exact same thing that's here with these blue periwinkle cells, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to put a formula in here, and it's the yards divided by, again, 15. And we're going to change this to 2 decimals. Okay, so down here you got this person, even though they actually only appeared in 3 games, they're only contributing 1.67 yards a game to the team's calls. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is come over here and you want to take the total yards and divide it by 15, and then this will tell you how many yards a game that you're rushing and receiving as a team. So we'll put an equals right here, and it's the total yards divided by 15. So this team is getting 125.13 yards a game. Okay, and then you would want to do the same thing here in this cell. $118.53. Okay, so, and judging by these yard outputs, this team probably isn't winning too many games, if I had to guess. Alright, and then finally, the last thing we want to do, and we could have done this earlier in this cell right here, it looks like you just want to get a total number of touchdowns here, and I'm going to just click auto sum on that one, and auto sum on that one. Alright, so all these totals are set, so the last thing I think we would do is to select cells A1 through G1, and then click this merge and center button until it looks like that. And then you can come over under cell styles and add a title style to this cell. And when you do that, you'll notice how this is kind of cut off again. What that means we need to do in this case, we need to either consider making these columns wider, or we need to make this text smaller. And it really doesn't matter which one you do. We're just going to select 14, make this size 14 to make it fit. We don't want to have to put too much effort into this. And this activity is now considered done. So you would see your statistics for this football team. Again, these are statistics that are often important to football teams, and you could come up with even more statistics that are often important to football teams, but certainly these yards per game receiving and rushing yards per game receiving and rushing per rush, all these are important stats. So that is it for this activity, and you are ready to move on to the next one.